Hearthstone Global Games is an epic country versus country tournament where teams of 4 card slingers each clash for national pride. But in the end, the UK always wins.
Wait, everybody knows it's Germany always wins.
Aren't you Polish?
Is winning all that matters?
It's all about fun and getting along with your teammates.
That's easy when their skills are legendary.
Or in this case, you have an ace player who will never let you down.
So we're gonna see the same old archetypes then?
No, every team needs to bring all 9 classes.
So we're gonna see Hunter?
I wonder.
So let's recap. It's 4 regions, 48 countries, but
Only one winner. Get ready
for the Hearthstone
Global Games.
Good afternoon and welcome back to the Hearthstone Global Games. I'm Falcone and joining me for this first game is Lorinda, as usual. Are you looking forward to today, Neil?
As always, I'm looking forward to it, but the end of a new section, so get through this section, then we're into that top 16 that I think everyone's really looking forward to now.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to say it's the final game of Stage 2 of the Hearthstone, or the final day,
I was going to say, yeah, 6 games. Where are you going after
Skipping
this
ahead
one?
a little bit. Let's take a look at the Hearthstone Global Games format. Stage 1 was a 10-week round robin, but now we are in week 3 of Stage 2, a 3-week round robin. It's the final day. There's no NA broadcast tomorrow, so by the end of today, you will know who the top 16 teams are going through to Stage 3.
Stage 3 then becomes single elimination over the course of 2 weeks, and then this last 4 teams will be at the LAN finals later in the year.
So a lot to look forward to. We really are kicking this into overdrive now. Let's take a look to see what the groups look like right now. Group A is finished. China and Malaysia will be qualifying.
Yeah, China played really well yesterday, force to be reckoned with. Group B, all up in the air. We'll sort that out later today. And Group C, the same really, although the Netherlands are already through.
Group D, New Zealand looking really hot there, winner of the groups, but Hungary obviously out.
We'll sort that one out a bit more in a bit. Group E, Greece put themselves in a great position yesterday. Lots of things to go on with that group. Group F,
My team, Italy, going to be playing last today against Canada, going to fight for their spot in Stage 3. That was a very fast flash through of the groups.
Yeah, we'll bore you with the details later on today, and here is what we have coming for you as we go on through the day.
Brazil versus Hungary coming up first, then Argentina, Netherlands, Austria, Peru, Bulgaria, Mexico, Israel, United States, and finally Canada versus Italy.
Just a reminder how it works. These groups are just 3 weeks, so the top 2 from each group go through. It is now confirmed the way it's worked out. If you get 2 wins, you will go through, and then it's the 4th best results 3rd place finishers, which basically means if you come 3rd, you've got to wait till the end of the day to find out.
Yeah, it's pretty complicated, the onus is on the teams now to be watching and making sure that they get what they want. But let's take a look at the roster for this first series. Legolas, Kagloran, Loxodontus, and Leomane representing Brazil versus Exego, Penhadani, Chaincooler, and Exar for Hungary.
Yeah, Hungary are playing a bit for pride as it happens on this one now, but they've got plenty of pride to play for. Brazil have got a load to play for. They can win this. They can come in the top 2 in the group.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. They need to, I believe the statistics we've worked out is that they need to get 1 game win to get through, which is great. But we have seen things back in Stage 1 with Russia, for example, where they needed to win a single game to qualify for Stage 2.
And where are they?
And they got swept. We've seen the same thing from a few other teams as well. So really, anything can happen from this point.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to find out exactly what happens as this day unfolds of pretty much tremendous Hearthstone action. We've got some of the best players in the world here. We had some of the best players in the world yesterday, of course. Ukraine, 2 of their players in Shanghai.
Should we take a look at this first series then? It's best out of 5. Blind pick. The 9 classes have been distributed between the teammates. They decide how they want to pair the classes. They decide what order they want to play. And then for this first game, Loxodontus versus Exar, they take a look at their opponent's 2 classes and they decide which one of their 2 they want to bring. We've ended up with Rogue versus Paladin.
We have indeed. Now, Exar, if I'm reading the right thing, his favourite place in Hungary is Lake Balaton. I think that is read out. I can't read my own handwriting sometimes. I only read it a few minutes ago.
Lake Balaton.
50 miles long and known for its, massive nature stuff. nature stuff.
Did we see Lake Balaton in the
I
video?
don't know. I mean, it's 592 kilometers square.
If
So if
someone
we
could-
did, it would have been big.
If someone could be so kind and tweet us a photo of Lake Balaton, I'd appreciate that. Check that out after the series.
He
But
likes it because it feels like it's near the sea, and there are loads. I googled it earlier. There's loads of beaches and stuff along there.
no way of knowing if he's near the sea right now, though, with the incredibly bright window behind him.
Can't even see Loxodonte's there. He's just camouflaged in that room. Get to the bed.
Both getting ready to start their first game. Don't forget, Hearthstone Global Games is a team format. All through this series, these guys will be communicating with their teammates through comms. Some of the teams might all group together, and you might see them on screen together, high-fiving and patting each other on the shoulder, and in Greece's case, just shouting at each other.
Yeah. Before they all retire to one of the different islands, they can all get away from each other on.
But yeah, Brazil versus Hungary. First game coming up right now. It's going to be the Rogue versus the Paladin. Let's do it.
All right, and it is
it's
unsurprisingly Quest Rogue.
versus is this UK Paladin?
UK easy Paladin.
No, we haven't actually seen. Oh, Dan is actually. Gaskin is doing a dance in the corner of my eye right now. I don't think we've seen UK Paladin yet. Neil, what can you tell us about
UK
this?
Paladin is basically regular Paladin with some pirates and Argent Squires thrown in. That's the main point. It doesn't have Tyrion. It tops out at 7 mana for Curator. And it's just a more stable early game. John Bray reached #1 legend with it on the last day of the season last season. He wasn't even playing. He was ranked 16 with 5 days to go.
That's right. Yeah.
It's just
That's great. And he just jumped all the way from rank 16 non-legend to rank 1 legend. Very impressive performance. Let's see what it can do against Quest Rogue. I imagine this to be a very good matchup for the Paladin.
yeah, it'll be able to get. Sometimes Paladin. I mean, Paladin's good against Rogue anyway, but sometimes you get that stuttery start. But this has so many 1-drops, it doesn't usually get that stuttery start. I don't think people have decided yet whether this is a real deck or whether it's a bit of a meme.
What, UK Paladin?
Yeah. Even though it reached #1 legend, you can build a deck that gets #1 legend because you catch everybody off guard.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching Amnesiac, and he definitely wasn't a huge fan of the deck.
Yeah, and Zigzo's speed running to legend with the deck at the moment, and he is basically
Slow running?
He's slow running, yeah. But I think he's treating it like a bit of a meme. But it's one of these decks that people are trying to work out if it's good or not. It's obviously decent. You don't accidentally get to #1 legend, but Jumbray's a bit of a specialist when it comes to Paladin.
Yeah, I mean, the creator of Egg Paladin, for a start, one of the ways that he got into the Hearthstone Global Games was some puns on his voting thing there.
Yeah, a very exciting player to watch. And you should definitely check out his Twitter if you want this deck list, because I'm almost certain that this is exactly what that deck is.
As we jump into the game, Loxodontis already struggling with turn 1 a little bit there. Does he just drop the quest? Does he play Salty Deckhand? Maybe he coins out the dagger and starts whacking the Murloc with it.
Yeah, the really big problem with this situation is if they play Rockpool Hunt onto this, you are in so much trouble.
Well, it's not the end of the world because he's got the Salty Deckhand to come
Right.
backwards. The next time he could drop that, Patches would come out too. He'd be able to clear up the Murloc easily and do a lot of damage to the
But he's only got that next turn because he doesn't play Caverns this turn, otherwise he could
Yeah.
end up coining out the wrong stuff and
Right,
get into a
right.
mess. So yeah, he has to bear that in mind, and now that's why he's played the play he has, and now sigh of relief as there's no Rockpool Hunter.
Right, now the quest's going to come down pretty fast, it looks like.
Yep.
Hang on, no, gonna just take a pause there. Is there any advantage in just hitting in and daggering up again, maybe?
So many choices when you're playing this Quest Rogue. I mean, there's an advantage if you like. You're just playing the Salty Deckhand, trading off the 2 minions on the board. You've got a 2-1 versus nothing. The downside, of course, is it's your last 1-drop in hand. So when you start bouncing stuff, the quest is going to take longer to complete. And this is why people are constantly saying, you know, this is a skillful deck to play. The decisions are really important.
It is, and I think undisputably so. The amount of decisions that you have to make when you play this deck are very, very high. Salty Deckhand would deal 2 damage to the face right now. If he can then push another 3 damage, then that totals 5. And any chunks of 5 damage that this deck deals actually makes a huge difference.
Yeah, especially against Paladin, where you're not going to get a large window of opportunity to win the game because the Paladin just keeps coming at you.
Time up. Brazil gonna have to come to their decision right now. It looks like they are going to start by daggering in.
Yeah, just getting rid of any Murloc synergy is important because of Murloc War Leader.
Alright.
Slight ordering mistake there, in fact, fairly big ordering mistake.
Oh, yeah.
If he's going to play the quest, but they were so short on time, it's the thing I discussed with you yesterday.
Even bigger ordering mistake there. The Salty Deckhand didn't attack because Loxodontis hit with the dagger first. That was a disaster of a turn, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, he's reacting as if that didn't really happen, but you're on webcam, mate, it did. But yeah, I mean, when you're running out of time, so I said to you yesterday, it's better to make the mistake of a few ordering issues than to not get the turn made. The important thing was to clear the board and get the quest played. Yes, he's missed a point on the quest. Yes, he's missed 2 points of damage. Those are things you should not miss. But the crux of the turn was clear up all the Murlocs, clear up the board, and he got that done.
I mean, the biggest impact that misplay will have on this game is actually probably the fact that it's going to be tilting Brazil a little bit. Loxodontus is going to be annoyed that he made the mistake. His teammates are going to now have to be extra careful with him.
Right.
It kind of spirals out of control just on a mental attitude point of view.
Yeah, he's not going to be completing the quest with this particular deckhand, probably, because he's going to get eaten alive, although Blessing of Kings and just whack him in the face for 5 must be really tempting. And again, because of that mistake. Because now you're not in such a hurry to clear up the deckhand.
Yeah, and UK Paladin is very good at hitting the face, right? Like you said, he can buff up the big the taunt turn into a huge minion, smack the face there. He's got True Silver Champion. He's got Argent Squire that can be made into a bigger minion later, 2 Tareems. Hungary are in a pretty good spot here. However, Brazil do now have 3 Novice Engineers in hand, and therefore a very easy way of completing the quest. It's just going to take time.
And a lot of inventions will come of those Novice Engineers, I am sure. One thing that highlights how Jumbo plays is his aggression, so it's no surprise that he was the one to make this deck a thing. There's a lot of weapons in this deck, there's a lot of buffs. And I mean, he was the original Egg Paladin, as you said, and that involves weapons and buffs. So really, he's just sticking with the cards that he is used to in some ways. But you look at it, Argent Squire has synergy with Blessing of Kings, it has synergy with Tarim. It has some weird hidden synergies that you don't first think about till you play the deck. Just a 3/3 with Divine Shield for 1 mana is pretty good.
Right, and a 5/5 with Divine Shield when you then add the Blessing of Kings.
Right.
It's strong too. Like, there's a lot that Argent Squire can do. It's quite funny that it's seeing so little play at the moment when we have so many aggressive decks around.
Yeah, Jumbo's, the eggs is his trademark, but actually I think the Divine Shields are more of his trademark when you really look at his playstyle. He's always liked Divine Shield. And eggs, again, are kind of like Divine Shield. They're just difficult to deal with.
Murloc War Leader, but no other Murlocs in hand, so that's not something Exile's going to feel too happy about. Also, Loxodontus played both Novice Engineers that came from the Mimic Pod.
Right.
So, Exile will have no idea that there's a 3rd Novice Engineer in Brazil's hand.
He won't, but he will. As it's a bit weird to just play them down there and say, hey, kill them. But yeah, you've got to play as if they're not to some degree. The Glacial Shard, obviously an important pickup for Brazil. That's one way that you can complete the quest while slowing your opponents down. The Biofins not so much. You tend to wait until after you've completed the quest, because 5/5 with taunts tend to slow everybody down.
Right. So just how aggressive can Exile afford to be here? Because a little part of him might think, okay, Loxodontus did just play both of his Novice Engineers. If I destroy them, does that slow down his quest completion?
And the weird thing here is if you kill one, you've really got to seriously consider killing the other.
Yeah.
Because there doesn't seem any point in just killing one without the other.
So yeah.
This is 6 damage.
Can make both trades there, but it's a huge waste, as you're saying.
Yeah, I think either you kill 0 or you kill both, though. Killing one is just silly because it can be bounced.
Favouring the Argent Squire there over hero powering. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I like it because he has the Blessing of Kings in hand, he has Tarim in hand. Both cards work really well with the Argent Squire.
Like I said, not too worried about playing a value game there, just going to create the best board he possibly can and win as fast as possible with it. Loxodontus plays the 3rd Novice Engineer, going to bounce that straight back.
And we are seeing some of the things that aren't so great about the UK Paladin deck, like the fact you can't go Tyrion in 2 or 3 turns time.
Right.
The fact that your Murlocs, can be a bit iffy because you're busy playing other things that aren't Murlocs. All right. Always a shame when you have to leave the Glacial Shard on the board. That's a lot of damage.
Another Blessing of Kings. Okay, so he can only use one of them this turn, obviously. 9 damage total coming in this turn. It's not that extreme just yet.
It's not, but where's this board going to get dealt with? I mean, the quest is on 3 out of 4. It's got there. But no preparation. That's the killer in the quest deck, is the preparation. That's what makes everybody roll their eyes when they lose to the deck. It almost always involves a prep turn.
We are also at the point where Vanish becomes a consideration. Every Blessing of Kings that gets played into a Vanish ends up being a bit of a waste. So maybe True Silver Champion ends up being better this turn. I don't know, it's hard to say.
Good call.
Do you save Blessing of Kings for lethal ever? Well, it's not that much extra damage, so...
As long as you get 4 through with it, especially with 2 in your hand, I think it's okay. But also, it's not very mana efficient to play a 4 plus a hero power if the hero power gets bounced. So,
Yeah.
I kind of like this Towing play. As he's got another one in his hand, then it's not so bad.
And there's that synergy you mentioned earlier with the Argent Squire. It's just allowed it to make this free extra trade and become an extra 3/3 on the board. Very strong indeed.
So Loxodonte's plan here is to complete the quest and set up a board. He'll keep the charge minions in hand for that board. And try and get something together next turn.
Yeah, Patch has already been played by Loxodontus here, so all he's got for charge minion-wise is the Deckhand and the Stone Tusk Boar. He's got taunts as well, he's got some bouncers.
Boar's an interesting choice. I still think personally that Boar would be in my version to Quest Rogue, but we are just seeing a 50-50 split down the middle of the top players of whether they think it's Boar or whether they'd rather have backstabs and other bits and pieces in their deck. More tech cards like crabs, etc.
Right.
Personally, I'd just rather hit my opponent in the face for 5, then bounce it and hit them for 5 more, then bounce it and hit them for 5 more. But the argument against it is you can do that anyway, and adding extra charge minions doesn't add that much versatility because you still probably got your deck hands in your hand.
If you could, I mean, you'd always choose to add extra bouncers, but I'm pretty sure Rogue is using every possible one they can. You don't want to add any of those 4-mana ones into the deck. That's way too expensive.
At the moment, at least.
Ancient Brewmaster?
After the nerf, maybe the deck becomes a bit different. Maybe it sustains itself in a more combo-orientated form. But sustaining itself is going to have to do here because there are chunks of damage coming in here next turn for XR. And all he's got to really decide is how much he wants to hit now into face and how much he can afford not to. He'll be trying to set up so that he's got lethal next turn and kill these 3 minions if he can make that happen.
Well, it's a lot of damage coming through. I can say that much easily. That's 19 damage total on board represented, obviously.
Right, which means he doesn't have to do all of it because most of that damage isn't going anywhere in a hurry. A 7/7 and a 3/7 taunt. This is clever. This means that even if the quest is completed, your 3/3s are protected next turn.
Yeah, it's going to take 4 minions with charge to deal with just those 2 taunt minions alone. I don't mind everything just going face here.
I think he's going to want to try and, the magic number was kind of 10.
Right.
Although there's a true silver as well, because that's the damage that's going to be hidden behind these taunts. So as he kept going, thinking, can I trade one in? I feel you didn't need to go all face there.
The other thing is that going face with everything kind of plays around Vanish a little bit. Like, the more damage you sink in before the board gets bounced, the faster you'll get lethal after it happens.
Your true silver is kind of representing lethal in its own right, although obviously all the bile fins and stuff will definitely mess that up. But it's another reason why 8's an important number.
So Brazil are going to have to try and work out how they're going to sequence this straight away. Completing the quest first seems like a good start. Playing both charges isn't quite enough.
Yes, they have to decide whether they want to play Swashbuckler.
Okay.
Because they may get some information that says, hey, we can win the game after all.
Yeah, that's not too helpful.
No.
Give a minion in a hand +1/+1.
Great!
No good when your minions are about to all become 5/5s anyway.
That's a good card, though.
Hold the phone. This does change things. Now quest isn't even needed. Loxodontus can make such a big laugh from Exer there. Like, great. He would get the equality, wouldn't he?
Equality. And that has made a bit of a mess of Hungary's board state.
Except it's still going to be lethal. With the True Silver Champion or with the Blessing of Kings.
Yep, and Hungary picking up their first win in this stage of Hearthstone Global Games. Of course, all of these teams did get here by getting through that first stage. They got through groups of 6, came in their top 3. So none of the teams in this stage are a pushover, but Hungary will be glad to have got a game on the board whatever happens.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to go 0-9.
Hungary very much playing for style points. They're here to show that they got to stage 2 for a reason. They're going to go down swinging, and if they can take Brazil down with them, they're going to do their best at doing that. Brazil still need to get their 1 win. It's pretty important.
It is, otherwise, Cora's pick could be in trouble.
Yeah, as far as caster picks goes, quite a few of them have been in trouble. We've had Dan with Norway's in trouble, Canada's in trouble, Russia's already been out.
But Greece are going to win the whole thing, so it's absolutely fine as we look at what's coming up next.
Next up is Legolas versus Chaincaller Druid versus Priest. Both players passing up on the Mage. That's not something you see every day. Mage, one of the most picked classes at the moment. Priest, one of the least picked classes. You can see why Chaincaller would pick Priest, though. Want to queue into the Mage with that. They've got cards like Priest of the Feast, going to heal all the way back up.
Right.
But yeah, that's what we got coming up next.
Yeah, we've seen slightly more Priest in this event. I know you've done the stats, it's not that much, but more in this event than, say, at HCT, where there's only 1 out of 16 players taking it to Shanghai. Because Priest is pretty good at countering some decks.
Yeah, well, in a regular best out of 5 format, you only bring you bring less than half of the classes. Is that right?
You bring 4 and
bring 4 out of 9.
So
whereas
4%.
Whereas in this format, usually very good. In this format, you usually bring at least half. Well, you bring all of the classes.
Right, exactly.
But you only play half of them.
But you might play up to 5 if you go to the ace match.
And it's not like you're putting your deck together to beat a certain thing. The strategy coming into this is very different. Priest has its own strategies in this tournament, very different to how you'd use Priest in the best out of 5.
And then the best of 5, it matters as well whether you're playing Last Hero Standing, where Priest might be in an anti-mage specific build, or if you're playing Conquest, where you tend to play the best ladder decks, give or take, obviously within a framework, and Priest isn't one of those.
But the Hearthstone Global Game is a format where you come in and you can target one specific deck a lot of the time. And that's what I think that Chaincaller's done here. He's thought, right, they're going to bring Mage, we're going to bring Priest, Priest of the Feast, going to counter that. They ended up having to play against the Druid with the Priest. Not too bad either.
Not too bad either.
Unless it's Jade.
Unless it's Silent Priest, though. Because Silent Priest versus Jade Druid was the bane of ladder maybe 6 weeks ago. You'd play your Jade Druid, you'd be happy, you'd roll it with your lovely fun-to-play deck, and this guy would just kill you in 4 turns, and it wasn't much fun at all. Sorry if that sounds a bit condescending, but, you know, Jade Druid, I love it.
Penhadani, just a fact I happen to have here. His favourite classes, at least when he wrote the thing that I read, which may have been years ago, favourite classes at some point, Warlock and Hunter.
Warlock and Hunter. What's wrong with that?
Not the best classes.
Depends how long ago it was, really, doesn't it? Was he one of these guys who goes turn 1 Undertaker, turn 2 win?
yeah, turn 1 Flame Imp, etc. Definitely was not written during the Hearthstone, or during the Ungaro meta. We're just waiting for Brazil to get ready at the moment. Sorry for the wait. Penhadani, Team Hungary, not the most well-known team. I think it's fair to say coming into this, one of the team that's in stage 2 that would be treated as the underdog. They don't have the best accolades. But Penhadani, he's had a top 200 finish.
Top 200's pretty good going. You start racking up those points rapidly if you do get top 200 finishes. Obviously, getting into those HCT events is crucial.
Oh, we're starting. And it is going to be Jade Druid, and it is not going to be Silence Priest. That's a bit of Tide Hydra.
Yeah, just looking at Penhadani as well, he has actually... Sorry, just going to finish that off just for a second while you talk about Hydra. He's played HCT twice, got 7 wins and 4 losses, I believe, including in summer last year. He actually went 5 and 2. Now, the way it worked in double elimination, 5 wins was sometimes enough to even get through, depending on where you lost your first game. So 5 and 2 is one of those guys who must have been really close to actually getting to the championships. And Exigo as well, he's had pretty much a 50% win rate, and he's played all of them so far, I think. Possibly didn't. I haven't got this Springs, but he played them all of them.
Again, we say it quite often, 50% against the best players.
Yeah, why not?
Not bad at all. But
so
now,
Hungary, not known, but yeah.
Like I said, bit of Tide Hydra and Priest. What is that, Neil?
It's a 8/8 for 5 mana.
Yeah.
No, it looks like this is going to be very interesting.
And Yashiraj.
Oh my goodness, now it's super interesting. Okay, Yashiraj Priest. Everybody on ladder's met this deck at least never.
All right, I'm going to pitch something to you right now. All right, bit of Tide Hydra and Binding Heal, the synergy. Because Hydra takes damage, you take damage, you Binding Heal it back up, and you heal yourself back up. Win-win.
Okay.
I'm going to
trying to work out what else to go with this Yashiraj. I'm just looking at it and going, you know what? This is going to be entertaining.
In case you haven't seen Yashiraj recently, though it does appear in some decks, at the end of your turn, while it's on the board, you just take a minion from your deck at random, plonk it on the board right next to it.
So isn't there some lore between Tyrande and Druid people?
There is, but I'm not fully aware of it, I'm afraid. I think they have a voice line.
They do, which makes me wonder if she's just stealing Big Druid.
Yeah. That does seem to be what's happening.
That's all I can see, because this is like Silence, Yashiraj, Hydra Priest.
Priests do tend to steal things, right? Okay.
That doesn't see how religion should work to me. Like... They're supposed to be the good guys.
Rogues are better known for stealing things. But in a different way. Like, priests actually take directly from the deck and silence, purify. So this is a silence. Okay, so you can silence or purify, but
It's just a silence, purify, dragonfire potion, Yshiraj priest.
Yeah.
So Hungary, obviously here, they are eliminated from the tournament. And I say this every time, when you bring your lineup, you try your absolute hardest to win. But this is a chance to show they've got a bit of flair in the team. Chaincaller had 3 top 100s in a row on the ladder as far back as 2015.
Wow.
This guy's been playing a long time and he's good. So he's not just like dropped his collection accidentally and sort of picked up the cards in a random order and this is what he's playing. He's put together a deck that he feels can show off his talents in this game. And to be honest, one thing that Druid can't deal with is gigantic monsters with huge amounts of health early in the game.
Well, that is true. Druids struggle with removal, they struggle with wide removal, and they struggle with individual removal when the health gets too high. And so all Legolas able to do is drop that Harrison Jones, but it's not going to trade very well against that Razorleaf.
No, but it's going to make the Razorleaf have to slow down. And one thing that Druid has to do, again, I'm going to just cast this for now as if it is a Silence Priest.
Okay.
That's the closest we've got.
Yeah, I agree.
And one thing that Druid has to do is stop the Silence Priest from getting too much health on these minions. There's almost certainly the combo in here of Inner Fire and Divine Spirit. It's almost certainly going to do the business.
Yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you? I'm wondering what he's cut, though, to put these huge monster of a cards in.
Yeah, it seems weird because Yshiraj, you normally... I mean, there's got to be a Barnes in here somewhere, right?
Yeah.
But normally you play Yshiraj in a...
And this is all making sense. Like, the synergies are there. Barnes, you Barnes out a minion, you then silence that minion. It gets its stats back and gets its effect. If it's a Humongous Razorleaf, it's able to attack. So...
Yeah, just to go through that again, it does get its stat back. When it's silenced, Barnes' effect makes it a 1-1. It doesn't come out as a 1-1.
Yes.
It actually comes out as its real self. And then Barnes goes, nah, mate, chill, you're a 1-1.
Yeah, it's not quite the same as a minion buffed by Quest Rogue.
Right.
If you silence it, it goes back down. Okay, so there's a Holy Nova in here too.
I mean, why not? Everything else seems to be... This is like a 90-card deck.
Hold on a second. Have we seen any 2-ofs in this deck so far?
Oh, my goodness, no. Don't encourage Gaskin, please. But no, we have not. You are right. Oh, dear.
Because, I mean, I don't understand how else he could have fit in so many different cards if there aren't 30 different cards in this deck.
Yeah, I think you might be onto something there.
But 30 different cards means a lot less consistency. Legolas now going to be ramping up these Jades like crazy. Jade Blossom plus Jade Spirit seems like a pretty healthy way to go here. Jade Behemoth plus Jade Idol works too.
Yeah, they're going to just... I mean, 20 is actually kind of good for them right now. Like, one of the numbers they'll be looking at is how much damage can we take, and 20 is one of the ones in the ballpark right now.
Yeah.
And luckily they're on 21, so they can afford to use this turn to develop. And...
What's interesting to me is that neither Shadow Visions showed us a Divine Spirit or an Inner Fire.
They did not, you're right. Something that to consider is playing a Jade Behemoth now means that you don't get to block a 20/20 with it later.
Okay.
So it maybe keep that for the taunt rather than develop your Jade and get your other Jades developed. So you've got this Jade Behemoth. It thinks if they end up with one massive minion that looks like they're going to kill you in combo one turn, then you play it and hope the priest can't do all the combo and Shadow Word Pain.
Yep, starting with Jade Blossom, I'm going to go Jade Spirit. The first play that we spotted way back when at the start of this turn.
Have they seen any silliness yet, Brazil? Do they just think this is a Silence Priest with a Priest of the Feast in it? Because we've seen all the silliness. But have Brazil actually even seen anything yet?
You're right, I don't think they have. Honestly, I'm not even convinced that there is a Divine Spirit or an Inner Fire. The fact that neither Shadow Visions has shown it, and the fact that they've put so much other stuff in the deck, I'm not convinced.
I mean, our resident expert on Kazaka's Priest is on break at the moment. Which isn't very helpful of him.
It's just like, where can you fit it in? And then do you run them as one-ofs? They don't quite have the same impact when they're that much less consistent.
They're good with 12/12s, but 12/12s are quite good on their own.
That's also true.
I don't know. I mean, I obviously don't know. I actually haven't got a Scooby what is going on right now. Don't mind admitting it.
All I know is that it's going to be a struggle for Hungary to win this one because Brazil now on 9 mana. They're going to get a Gadgetzan Auctioneer going very soon. I don't think it will be this turn, but very soon.
Yeah, they can tidy this up, but the thing is if they tidy it up, the Gadgetzan's going to be worthless, so they've still got a little bit of wheedling to do here to get themselves in a position where they're safe.
Gonna drop Behemoth now. I guess Legolas is in a position where he feels as though his board's not going anywhere, so...
Yeah, this also enables him to clear up some of this stuff and protect some cards for his auctioneer for next turn. The trick of that turn was to make sure that he could auctioneer with some decent cheap spells in hand.
And he won't be expecting the Shadow Word Pain that we can see either, nor a Shadow Word Death. So it's likely that the Behemoth does just get hit by a Shadow Word Pain, but that's not a card that's usually in Silence Priest. If Brazil think that this is a Silence Priest, they're in for a few surprises.
Yeah, Barnes, huh? Barnes. Alright, they needed that.
Pretty good timing, yeah.
Yeah, just in the nick of time, gonna do everything they need from the card.
What is going on?
Deathwing's going on.
Okay, so it does make sense that you run both Deathwings with your Shiraj, some nice big, juicy 12/12 minions for you to pull out of your deck, but...
And silence and turn into 12/12s.
Well, yeah, exactly.
It looks like this deck relies around Barnes early.
It does, doesn't it?
And it's one of those decks when it gets its Barnes, a bit like the old Finger Rogue deck. When it got Finger on turn 5, you were like, oh, I've lost.
The Wild Growth picked up there. Not actually gonna be played, though. That's surprising. Obviously, Brazil are desperate to get rid of that Ancient Watcher. But
well, they're expecting to die to it. That's the thing. They still think they're playing against a regular Silence Priest. They haven't seen all of the shenanigans that we can see.
This looks like a pretty clean Dragonfire.
It really does. And although we were saying that the Druid looks like it might be stabilising, like he can't play around Dragonfire Potion, he thinks he's playing against Silence Priest.
Yeah, that's a big shocker as well. So he's seen the Shadow Word Pain now, he's seen a Dragonfire Potion. Brazil should be utterly confused at this point.
Yep, good, they're catching up with me. And although we were saying they have stabilised, they are looking good. If Hungary can live one more turn, and I don't see any reason why they can't, they're going to start being able to fight back with their own massive stuff.
Let's be realistic here. This Deathwing looks like it could do some serious work against the Jade Druid. Until an Aya comes down and actually, you know, presents this Death Master minion.
The problem with the Deathwing, I'm just looking, is I think Legolas might be in a position where he just ignores it.
Right.
As in the Dragon Lord. The actual
Oh,
Deathwing
no, I'm
itself.
talking about actual Deathwing, though. Like, it clears up all of the Jade Golems, hits for 12. Legolas only has 14 health. We're getting there.
Sure. Oh, it's so interesting.
But Chaincaller blows up so much value if he has to play regular Deathwing with this hand.
Right. It may be a couple of turns. They may have one turn where they can play Ashiraj or Deathwing Dragonlord, and
yeah,
they won't want to play Deathwing Dragonlord because they're going to play the Deathwing.
Yeah, yeah.
Ugh. So close.
It's really down to Brazil to not draw bad cards here. Nourish is not a bad card at all. He's got a refresh onto the board, or will draw a refresh onto the board after the Deathwing gets played.
What if they're going to fight to try and get 2 damage through before dropping it? So that, well, 3 damage through, so that they can actually kill the Deathwing in one hit, say, you need a taunt now or you lose.
It would help, but unfortunately with the Nourish, it's likely that Legolas picks up an Earthen Scales of Feral Rage. These cards... Ooh,
He shuffles, because he's got Nourish.
Sure.
Really good chance of picking one of those back up.
Earthen Scales, there it is. And Aya too! And Yogg, which isn't as relevant in this position, but...
It's funny, the first time I've ever heard you get more excited about Aya than Yogg.
Okay, that being said, if the Deathwing is coming down after Aya, like, Hungary can just silence the Aya, then drop Deathwing. So Aya's not as exciting as I thought it was.
Aya's always exciting. Alright, damage going to face now. They've got to start being aware of their own lethals. Holy Nova's not really cutting it.
It gets rid of the 7-1.
Which is important, because they'll be a little scared of 8 damage from hand. It is possible.
Looks like your Shiraj might just be coming down here. Problem is, Feral Rage plus Swipe, yeah, that's that would be lethal now for Brazil.
I think you've got to take some chance, though. I don't think playing the actual Deathwing is the right chance to take here.
I think your Shiraj is the play this turn. A Radiant Elemental plus Holy Nova is maybe worth considering. Maybe Shadow Word Death with... Nope, all right. I like this play. Like it a lot.
And the look on the face of Legolas is what just happened. And what just happened is you got Yashiraj Hydra. Yeah, you don't know what you're doing, do you? Good.
I think what Legolas is doing is answering this old god with one of his own. No, he won't. His board's too good at the moment.
Well, how close is he to lethal with his Hydra? I don't think he's quite there, but it's really close, right?
Yeah, the Hydra only adds 6 extra damage, Primordial Drake plus Hero Power.
Yeah. They're only 6. They need to add 7.
Okay. So, okay, you're right. He's now 1 up.
It's pretty close.
Just to make that clear what that is, Hero powering the Bittertide Hydra will deal 3 damage to Hungary's face. Dropping Primordial Drake will hit the Bittertide Hydra, which will then deal another 3 damage to Hungary's face, essentially putting him down to 1 health.
At which point they would lose to...
Yogg-Saron could do it, right? Yogg-Saron could actually just...
Yogg-Saron into Unleash the Hounds type. I don't even know. Legolas doesn't know. He's got 75 seconds to react to this. We've seen what's going on all game.
He's going to just trade into it with the cell. Okay.
I mean, he doesn't know what he's going to do, so he's sort of got to get rid of it.
Oh, this is strong. And then you drop the Drake. Okay.
And I think that might be... I don't think anything anymore.
It's not dealt anywhere near as much damage to Hungary as Brazil could have done. But look at that, Deathwing Dragonlord going to come straight down. Barnes picked up. You called this about 10 turns ago.
Yeah. Now, the only thing with playing the Dragonlord here, the good news for them is to get another 12/12 when it dies.
Yeah.
The bad news is they can no longer clear the board with their Deathwing, because this is going to die.
I don't even know if it's necessary anymore to clear the board with a Deathwing. Oh, this is...
Yeah.
It's just changed. Okay.
And then suddenly... Alright, so they can silence the 4/8 and let the Aya live. But they'll probably die if they do that, so they probably have to silence the Aya. Because they get an extra 12 damage if they silence the 4/8.
So you want to silence Aya and play Deathwing now? You're right, like squeezing in the extra 12 damage would be helpful. But only 1 Shadow of Death.
And we can see Brazil's hand. If they do go with this line,
doing it.
we're going to end up with Yogg quite likely taking on Deathwing in a fight to the death in a cage with chairs and all sorts of stuff.
I just don't know what is going on right now. It looks like this is going to be a game
I do.
to Yogg. 2 Deathwings on the board together.
I'm
Not
just
for
watching
long.
Legolas' face like, yeah, all right, do what you like. I don't know anymore.
It's such an important game for Legolas and Team Brazil as well.
Yeah. And
Innovate
see what's
Yogg.
happening.
All
Here
right.
we go. But you're supporting best of luck. It's Yogg time here in game 2 of the day. There's so much more Hearthstone to play. We're off with craziness before we even start.
That's Snipe, that's secret.
Okay. How do you know?
And that one's Mana Bind. And that one's Noble Sacrifice.
How do you know?
On the other, on that screen.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I thought you were having some sort of
I'm just psychic.
premonitions.
Where's that kill command going? Oh.
Own goal.
Oh, that's really good. So again, to remind you, Snipe, Mana Bind, and Noble Sacrifice are the Druid secrets at the moment. Oh my goodness!
Thank you.
Time waits for no one. My greeting.
That was a pretty good Yogg.
I don't know what just happened at all. There's an 11/11 Yogg taking on a 12/12 dragon.
Unless Hungary draws something good, they lose, is what just happened. An Ancient Watcher is not going to cut it. Noble Sacrifice pops up, blocks the Deathwing, and Yogg-Saron, hitting the face for 11, is going to end the game for Brazil. They get their win in the most... I don't even know.
I don't know.
Legolas seems happy, though.
He really does seem incredibly happy. And yeah, that's Brazil qualified for the next stage. Now it's a case of how they're going to qualify for the next stage. Can they do it with a win? And they're just going through the motions here of making things look like they won easily.
That was a game of Hearthstone.
And you know the problem now is there's still at least 2 more games of Hearthstone to come.
Yes.
And we've just seen Yasharaj Priest, so who knows what the other deck's going to be.
I don't know if we can top this.
Murloc Warlock for Gaskin, maybe.
Legolas takes the win. Finally, Brazil get the 1 win they need. They should. I think we've worked out that they are through now to Stage 3 of the Hearthstone Global Games. Even if it means coming through as the best 3rd place, they're through one way or another. I do not know what I just watched, but we just saw 2 Deathwings played, Yasharaj played, Yogg-Saron, all of the big 10-mana minions.
Yeah, and why not? I guess. I think that deck is all in on just getting the Barnes early. If you get Barnes on turn 4, I think you probably win quite often.
Yeah, I mean, they did draw their minions in the wrong order, didn't they? The fact that they drew all of the 10-mana cards nice and early, draw
Trying to look if there's
really
even a
late.
Northshire Cleric in that deck.
I don't know. I really would like to ask Chain Caller the question because I still wonder if there was a Kazakus. I don't. Oh no, we did see a second Ancient Watcher right at the end there. He drew a second Ancient Watcher, so probably not a Kazakus.
Maybe no combo.
Anyways, let's move on. What's coming up next is going to be Loxodontus versus Penhadani, Paladin versus Druid.
Yeah, and after that, I don't know what to expect at all. So let's just see what happens. Loxodontes, of course, is allowed to play twice because Brazil have a player missing today.
I wonder if Penhadani is bringing Big Druid. If they brought Big Priest.
Yeah, why not bring Big Druid as well? Why not? Easy, big, easy Druid. Easy.
Like you said, they're out of the tournament either way, so going out in style makes sense. Bringing UK Paladin first, not the memeiest deck.
Actually, I mean, it's really?
Well,
you're just being nice to Jumbo. It's the Mimi deck.
Okay.
And then they played Meme Priest, and now, yeah, if it's not Big Druid, actually, based on what we've seen so far, and based on Penhadani's fairly smirky-looking face right now, I should imagine that this is going to be at least Big Druid, and maybe, like, really Big Druid.
Loxodontus has had a chance to take a nice break since game one. Obviously, right on turn one, we got to the rope. There was a bit of a misplay there. Salty deckhand going down before the quest, and the weapon trading into the deckhand. Couldn't make contact to the face. A whole bunch of things happening in the wrong order. Now he's taken some time to chill. He's back, going to try and win this next game for Team Brazil.
Yeah, he'll be a lot more calm now as well. They've got that win under their belts. I think he may have been a bit nervous. And again, playing Rogue with 3 people shouting at you is probably difficult.
We're always talking regularly about how it is one of the most skill-intensive decks. Yes, it's very, very strong. Yes, it can be frustrating to lose against, but it is also very, very skill-intensive. There are so many micro decisions you need to make while you go through, and having multiple people telling you which way to go and which order to do it in, that can be quite disconcerting.
Yeah, it's really hard work. When I was coached by Sottle one time back before, you know, he was actually better than me, and sometimes you'd make mistakes when he's barking orders at you with like 5-10 seconds to go. It's like you can't, if you've got the wrong train of thought and someone's trying to change that train of thought, you try and second guess what they're going to say.
And I imagine you went through a lot of that when you used to do arena co-ops.
Exactly, yeah, that was a thing that came up a lot with co-ops the other way around, when I'd actually be the guy trying to help people out, and if you weren't careful, you would tell somebody something different to what they were going to do, and the divergent paths in the middle of the rope.
But these guys have had a lot of experience now with talking to each other, and that is a Ysera in Penhadani's hand. What? And there's also a Ysera, and look, what is this?
Ysera off.
What is going on today?
So, for those who haven't seen Big Druid, because it's only been around for 2 or 3 weeks, if you've been on holiday or something, can you tell us about how it works, what it does?
There's a lot of big cards. It has Giant Anaconda, sometimes Bright-Eyed Scout, depending on which version of the deck you're running. Bright-Eyed Scout means that you draw a card and it becomes a 5-mana card, so your 10-mana cards, if you manage to draw one of those, becomes a 5-mana one. Backfires if you draw an Innovate, that's a bit of a problem. Giant Anaconda, Death Rattle, it's a 7-mana minion, but has the Death Rattle when it dies. Summon a minion that has 5 or more attack from your hand, so you can use that to bring out your Ystrad, your Deathwing, etc. I'm also very curious about the Ysera in the Paladin hand. Ysera, we seem to have this meta right now where Ysera is difficult to deal with. Not that many of the classes or specific decks have the hard removal that deals 12 damage. So Control Paladin have just sometimes started slipping a copy in.
There's also this ongoing search for a big card after Tyrion in Paladin. People playing people playing Deathwing. Maybe they just want to try the Ysera, and that's such a good card, advantage card.
Yes, that is an Iron Beak Owl sitting in Penhadani's hand. It's used in Big Druid.
And Big Druid far more sensible than Big Priest, right?
Yeah, more regular.
Right, us Karka and Zigzo sort of creation.
This is a deck I've actually heard of, yeah.
This is a deck I've actually heard of. Casters 2017.
Infested Tauren, though, for Loxodontus. This is looking like a very greedy Paladin deck if it's running N'Zoth and Ysera.
Yeah, that might mean it's going to get into some trouble, because how many times can you equality away all this nonsense? Like, the Druid's going to get all the time it needs to get into these big minions, and the Paladin isn't that good at removing stuff. It's just good enough at removing little guys early that it wins with its lack of win conditions, usually.
Yeah, this really is going to be battle of the big minions come the end of this game. This is like a lot of people's dream coming into Hearthstone. I want to see these big legendary minions, you know, going at each other, see which one stands tall at the end. Well, this is going to be one of those games.
Yep, Yogg already proved that it is better than Deathwing.
Yep.
A life or death battle, backed up by a noble sacrifice from one of his little friends. But this is the draw that the Druid wants. It doesn't look that good, but what's going to happen is Penhadani is going to just ramp and ramp some more. And as he's doing that, because you can see already the Nourish, the Innovate, the Coin, all that stuff's going to help him, he will draw into more big stuff. Again, I say it about Druid so often, you have to trust your deck. Those cards are in there, they will come out, you've got 4 or 5 turns to draw some stuff, and then he'll get a pretty exciting board.
There's Giant Anaconda that I referenced earlier. In fact, Penhadani could consider Coin innovating that out now, then when it dies, Deathwing pops out.
It does, but you have to be a little bit careful about equality and just a straight trade. On the other hand, if they're equality straight trades, you've cleared their board, you've got rid of one of the equalities, and then you can just nourish and like restart everything. So it's definitely worthy of consideration.
It depends how important Penhadani thinks that the Deathwing is for actually clearing the board. Maybe he wants to hold it back and use it as a panic button later. He's hovering over that coin, but is this a coin Nourish or a coin Innovate Anaconda?
Yeah, I think Deathwing is mainly played in this deck as a 12-12 dragon.
All right, let's do it.
It comes back to life when other Deathwing leaves. The whole deck is about cheating things into play, and this is a way of cheating things into play, so why not?
Big smile from Loxodontus. He probably fully expected this before, but here we go.
Yeah, one of the Brazilian players now needs to be on the case for the next 2 matches. They need to be saying, like, what are the likely meme decks that are the other 4 that Hungary are going to have brought?
Now here's a fun interaction. Loxodontus just picked up an Outdoor Peacekeeper, so he can trade into the Giant Anaconda and then Outdoor Peacekeeper down the Deathwing. But there's an Iron Beak Owl in Hungary's hand. So Outdoor Peacekeeper would set the Deathwing's health to 1, then Iron Beak Owl would revert it back to 12 again.
Yeah, that's actually quite ridiculous. Obviously, Brazil taking the other line. This is what people do to igneous elementals more commonly, which is you can't kill yourself. And if it can't kill itself, you're just stuck with this.
Yeah, your minion has an annoying death battle.
7.
Your minion has an annoying death battle. I'm just going to put weak taunts in the way so that it has no way of suiciding. And
I don't think there's many worlds where Penhadani doesn't just go, you know what, we're having some fun today, let's play Barnes. Nourish for mana is probably the real play.
Yeah, I don't know. His card draw is looking a little bit lacking. Then again, he also doesn't want to draw too many cards because if he draws some of the weaker minions that have more than 5 attack, the Giant Anaconda won't get such.
And you're right, he's just going to go for more cards.
That worked out.
Picks up the Innovate that he was hoping for in there.
It's a good job he did because there's some really low value cards that he drew. And if he had to draw those cards over the course of the next 3 turns, it would have been very, very slow from him.
He is going to be able to control the board, and the good thing with that means that this Anaconda becomes much more menacing where there's nothing else on the other side, because then the equality is going to have to be paired with a Pyromancer or a Consecration to clear the board. And if you start making your opponents do 2-card combos to clear, you use up their entire turn, and then you just plop something else down, assuming that something else turns up, which it should.
Now Loxodontus. Pompous Thespian plus Outdoor Peacekeeper is the only real curvy play that he's got. I doubt he wants to waste Stampeding Kodo. Maybe now he trades in and then plays Outdoor Peacekeeper on the Deathwing.
Yeah, it's got to be tempting for him. People will know about the Iron Beak Owl in the deck, but it still looks like a very tempting play, to be fair. Plus, if you're making, I keep on about mana efficiency, but if you're making your opponent spend 3 mana on an Iron Beak Owl, you know, to hit you for 12, sure, that's not fun, but you've still got the get out of jail card of.
It's the reason that in many decks Spellbreaker is just more commonly used because its mana cost versus its stats is just better for the card. However, Iron Beak Owl is a beast, which means the Curator draws it, and that's the main draw to it in this deck.
So there's 2 reasons why they don't want to kill this. First of all, if you're the ones that kill the Anaconda, you give the minion Wind Fury that comes out. Not Wind Fury, but you just give it charge. Sorry. Secondly, you have that Stampeding Kodo in your hand, and the Iron Beak Owl can't get around 8 mana Peacekeeper Kodo.
Right.
You kill it before the owl has the chance. So making your opponents kill it off, take away that charge effect, is definitely worth doing here.
Second Nourish pickup. So Penhadani is going to be good to go for a long time now. He's at the point where he's going to want to summon the Deathwing without having to use its effects because he doesn't want to discard this rather large hand. I don't think he ever will want to discard this hand. I really don't mind the Barnes here. Barnes into Yeshiraj into Yeshiraj. Go.
Huh. In fact. Yeah, Barnes seems good. I like your optimism, Dan. I'm just going to go
And that's what would
Barnes.
happen if I played it.
Yeah, if I played it, just go Barnes into...
A second IB
I don't
Cow
know.
that you didn't even put in your deck or something.
It would just come out with something bad. Alright, he's going to try and draw a card first.
Oh.
Yashiraj. Okay.
What a weird stalemate that we've got here with the giant Anaconda not wanting to attack and Loxodontus not wanting to attack it. Feel as though Loxodontus is winning this exchange, but the attack comes through, Deathwing comes out, another big smile from Loxodontus as we witness the new animation, which isn't so new anymore.
Interesting they dug through their deck first, trying to find something different. That implies they wanted to keep this back, so they could find the other Deathwing, then even if that got killed, this one would then replace it.
Oh, okay. Our Peacekeeper did its thing.
Yeah, rules are being followed, but not for long, because the Owls are not what they seem. He's going to turn this back into a 12-12.
What secret was that from? Was that just a noble sacrifice?
I'm going to go with wasn't paying attention, no idea.
It was a repentance, actually.
I'll take your word for it.
So, if the repentance hits the Iron Beak Owl, that's no problem at all. I guess he's playing it to play around something like a Primordial Drake this turn, trading in the 3/3 and then playing Primordial Drake would be pretty good if Penahadani had it. Repentance would then drop the Drake down to 1 health. But no Drake, so...
Right, they're going to want this Deathwing to hit for 12, so testing for stuff first.
So, oh, does he have to play around for an eye now?
It's only 12, what could go wrong? Yeah, he's asking that same question.
I guess you can just Earthen Scales, though, back up twice, actually.
You could swipe. Swipe kills a couple of minions off, and the 1
that's
damage
true.
will do face.
Yeah, that's way better. So swipe the 3/3 and then silence.
If you wanted to test for eye for
Yeah.
eye, that's how I think you'd do it.
Gonna do it. Now he knows beyond all doubt that it's repentance. Oh, I
That's
did
fine.
expect the silence.
Yeah, he gets to use the mana though and clear everything up ready for next turn. Your opponent shouldn't want to equality this board.
Ah, that's the Bread-Eyed Scout. Not what you want to get from Barnes.
No, that's what I always get though. Such a baby rage when it comes to the cards.
Second equality. Okay, so Penadani's gonna want Brazil to hurry up and use one now. This is a board of nothing. Equality's just not worth it though.
Right, you're not going to lose to this army. You're just not going to lose to these guys. I mean, you might because the Owl, but they don't know that.
Yeah.
And it might just be a good time to develop a cairn.
Though, as you said earlier, they will expect there to be an Iron Beak Owl in the deck somewhere. So it's something they'll always play around.
It is. They can afford 12 as well. Given that your opponent has to Iron Beak out of it, then you can equality consecrate, get rid of the Owl as well. I think we might just see this is a good time to play the cairn.
It's weird how the main effect that Iron Beak Owl has had this game has been specifically for resetting a minion's attack back to what it should be. We talked about Iron Beak Owl with Barnes. If it was played on the Bright-Eyed Scout, it would turn it back into a 3/4. And now, yeah, if the Iron Beak Owl is played on the 1/10 Deathwing, it would become a 12/10 Deathwing.
Move quickly.
It's all frankly quite ridiculous.
It would silence away the Aldor Peacekeeper effect.
All right, got to do something, Loxodontis. We saw what happened when you left it too late before. Things started going wrong. Just do something.
You just can. Seems like a pretty...
Yeah, cairn just makes most sense, right?
Your mother needs
If in doubt, just develop a board. That's never a terrible thing to do.
Speaking of can, Penadani has a potential 16 damage on board now. Plus 17 with the hero power. No, not quite anywhere near getting that lethal.
Yeah, just not really close at the moment.
Plus 2 Earthen Scales, 18, 19, so 10 off.
I think cairn of their own looks pretty good.
Doesn't look bad at all. It plays around the equality a little bit.
Going to Nourish, because next turn is 10 mana turn. Bright-Eyed Scout. It's double Giant Anaconda, that's not always in.
No, it's not. What are we innovating out? Can? Okay.
It's funny, no matter how good the meta, when you get towards the end of a meta, people get bored and start doing silly things. Yeah, not saying they're doing that because of this, but I mean,
Well-
this deck was invented because people got bored.
Well, hey, it's worked for us, Kaka. It's been working for Zig, so let's see if it works out for Penhadani. The Big Priest did not work out for Chaincaller.
I don't think Big Priest was ever going to work out for anybody, to be fair. Apart from someone who can get Barnes regularly on turn 4.
The synergies were there. Like you can see them.
Yeah, if you go Barnes into Yashiraj into Deathwing, you win the game.
Right.
Because, yeah. You just do.
Or Barnes into Deathwing Dragonlord, even if you've got a Deathwing in hand, that can work out.
Sure.
Barnes into regular Deathwing into Silence or Purify, that can work out.
I don't know how you sleep at night with nightmares like this going through your head.
Speaking of Deathwing Dragonlord,
Yeah,
oh,
there he is.
doesn't Penhadani wish he played the Bright-Eyed Scout last turn? Then again, Giant Anaconda seems just fine here.
Again, this is where they're hitting the part of the game where they're just getting so many options and going to try and keep that hand size up. They've got to work out themselves how they're going to beat N'Zoth if it gets played. But there's not a whole lot going on right from the N'Zoth. We've seen one Tauren, we've seen one Cairn.
Notice how this IMB Cowl always has so many targets. Like Penhadani could target the Cairn right now. Is that the right play? I don't think so. If he's going to silence the Death Rattle, he's probably going to want to silence the Tyrion later.
I feel that they will know by now that the first board they create is going to get cleared by Equality.
Yeah.
I think that Equality on the left-hand side has sat there for a long time. The only other card that could be was Tyrion or N'Zoth, but it favours Equality. It's what you'd expect it to be.
Time waits for no one.
Okay.
Then Scales, I think they're just going to start delivering to the face. They're not. They're just going to keep killing stuff.
Well, healthy mix of both. Hero Power going to get rid of the 1/1, and then Barnes going to smack the face. Okay. Now, the reason that this is difficult for Brazil is what Penhadani's done is he's set it up so that Equality Consecration isn't quite good enough. Equality, okay, trade into one of the Death Rattles, then Equality Consecrate clears all but one minion. At the very least, Bane Bloodhoof will survive this next turn.
Sure. And that's not much fun, but you can stodge up the board for a while your Spike Ridge Steed. This Spike Ridge Steed is going to get worse as the game goes on because the big druid's going to have bigger stuff.
The big druid just gets bigger.
Yeah, basically. So the Spike Ridge Steed might actually not be too bad right now, just to slow this down.
Okay.
That makes sense to me, big time.
Now this is just going to be the best IMB Cowl, I think.
Reporting for
I know I've been saying there's a lot of different targets, a lot of different ways you can use this card. However,
I'm a lot happier about that Owl plane now the Curator's here.
yeah, I mean, getting rid of the Cairn's, both of the Cairn's Death Rattles, the Summon the Stegodon and the Summon the Bane, getting rid of the buff, getting rid of the Taunt, it does so many things right now.
Yeah, Curator getting rid of that Cairn and also just setting up a board that if they Equality Consecrate, really? We don't care.
Yeah.
We being hungry on this situation.
See what's actually left for the creator to draw. There's that Ysera we saw earlier, and only the Ysera. No more beasts. No Murlocs. No surprise there.
Yeah, obviously not trading into the Cairn because the Curator's blocking the way and just playing around Equality effects.
Yeah, Quality Consecrate still isn't any good. In fact, the Taunt makes it even harder for Loxodontis to make use of that. If he Equality Consecrates, he has to... He can't, like, Equality... Oh, I guess he's got the 1/1 on the board, so he could Equality trade that in, trade in the Cairn, and then Consecrate, but still leaving things alive.
Yeah, and just not much fun, and they've got to start dealing with stuff. Ragnaros just doesn't deal with the board presence, and it's the board presence that's threatening to kill them. And in fairness, this has been done with fairly regular cards, apart from 1/12/12 that got outlawed.
Yeah.
Like, nothing massive has been hitting Brazil in the face. Just the ramp, the extra ramp, the extra mana available to Hungary is the thing that's carrying this game at the moment. And the time that N'Zoth Paladin gives you to do anything. If you've got a deck that needs to set stuff up, N'Zoth Paladin is the deck you want to play against.
Okay, Equality. And a Consecration straight away. Okay. Deathwing Dragonlord's going to come out. When that dies, Ysera comes out.
Yeah, this is why there aren't many huge minions.
Oh, it's happening! Second Equality gets used, but Ysera is not going anywhere now. That's here to stay.
It is, but next turn is going to be N'Zoth into Tauren into bring
Cairn.
back Cairn. It's not a total disaster. Moonglade Portal still somehow survives in this deck. It's a really good card in the deck. You've got plenty of targets to heal, including your own face, but all your big minions are quite happy to be healed as well.
It's funny that it still makes the cut when the Earthen Scales is such a strong healing card.
It is just because it heals the minions.
Yeah, yeah.
Keeping a 4/12 alive, you hit it for 6 or 7, heal it back up. It's like, oh, why won't you die?
So, Penadani's seen both the qualities now. I don't mind going all in here, playing the Brooded Scout, playing the Moonglee Portal as well. Primordial Drake probably isn't that good here. Seems better after N'Zoth gets played, but Brazil going to go for it. Hungary going to go for it.
Yeah, it's setting up lethals through various other stuff. Like your opponents have got no equalities left, and you're really putting a massive strain on their health total right now.
Penadani looks so happy. The concede went through. Loxodontus has lost his second game today, and Penadani gets the win with Big Druid. Easy.
Well, nothing silly is going to happen in the next game because Hungary going to choose between Hunter and Warlock. So what could go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong?
The two least played
What could
classes
possibly be silly
in Hearthstone Global Games, and they've got to play one of them. Hungary, not just having fun with this, but winning. That's the point. Anyone can turn up with a load of garbage and play it, but to turn up with tuned memery, like I say, UK Paladin got to number 1 legend.
Tuned memery.
Osaka got second at Seat Story. You know, these decks are actual real decks. They're just not tier 1 accepted decks. So tuned memery, I think, is fine.
I'm expecting some kind of big Warlock coming up next from Exigo. Let's find out. It is going to be Warlock for Exigo.
Quest Warlock.
Liam on the shot. Oh, you'd love to see Quest Warlock.
I would, and I'm just going to solo cast it if we get Quest Warlock, I think.
Okay.
Taking on a real deck of Liam, which is most likely Token Shaman.
Yeah, because Brazil have given us no reason to think that what they're playing is unusual. Yeah, okay, their Paladin deck was very greedy. They did have the Ysera in it as well as the N'Zoth and all of the N'Zoth things. But I would just expect a Vol Shaman from them too. They actually needed to win today.
Yeah, exactly.
That being said, if they were ever going to get to Game 4 with Liam, it means they're already through to stage 3.
It does now, but I don't think they knew that when they submitted.
Oh, okay.
I think because New Zealand won yesterday, that's actually what happened. So at the time they submitted, they were submitting what they knew were sensible decks, whereas Hungary were 0-6. They knew they were done for. And so they've had some fun with it. They've already shown us that they're good through this event. As you can see, Exigo raising his eyebrows repeatedly there. That's scary.
Liam having a good chat with his Brazilian teammates. He looks pretty happy with how the series has gone so far. It's kind of everybody wins, right? Because
we win. We get to see Big Priest.
Hungary have brought the weird decks. They were out anyway, but they got to win with some of them. Brazil is still through to the next stage of the tournament. And now
Boom.
Let's see how the series comes to an end.
So it's going to be Blood Boom, Doom, Warrior,
Double
Warlock.
Bane of Doom. Is that regular in Blood Boom?
Yeah. At least, well, 1 definitely is. I'm not sure about 2, but Mistress is because you...
Yeah.
The idea of this deck, so for those who don't know the combination, Blood Bloom.
If we could say the name of the card, that is.
That would probably help. Blood Bloom allows you to cast spells using your health instead of using their mana cost, and Doom costs 10, so you give up 10 health. You draw a load of cards from Doom and clear the board, and then you use the spare mana you have lying around that you just saved to play things like Mistress of Mixtures and all sorts of horrible stuff, Voodoo Doctor, to get your health total back up. And you've cleared the board, you've got a board full of really small, weak minions, but it's still stuff, and you've healed yourself.
One of my favourite cards that's sometimes used in this deck is the Violet Illusionist, though. If you stick that on the board and then cast Blood Bloom, you don't actually take any damage.
Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous as well. That was in the recent version that Sifka played, right?
Yeah, that's right, that's right.
Yeah, well, I don't think it was in the original one, but it definitely is an addition that has a lot of synergy, very Sifka-esque in its synergy.
It's funny because the card seems to have been designed for weapon usage, Violet Illusionist, but no, it works so well with Warlock, with the hero power, and yeah, with Blood Bloom.
Mistress of Mixtures doubling up as a 2-for-1. Quite often you don't want to play it as that, you want to play it for the healing effect. But against Shaman, you cannot give up that board. It's something we say repeatedly over the last couple of days.
Now, there are a lot of board clears in Exigo's deck here. I feel as though this shouldn't be a horrible matchup for him.
This can just sometimes go wrong.
Right.
Sometimes you just don't draw ways to clear boards, even though there's a lot of them. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. But he is going to be in a position where he can tap aggressively, with Liam not willing to give up that Firefly there. And if he can draw into a Blood Bloom, he's going to get a really good Doom turn down the line. Currently, though, his plan is to try and get as big a Twilight Drake as possible on the board on turn 4 and hope that handles the board for him.
Picking up a second Mistress of Mixtures is very nice as well. Next turn, he can tap again, drop that on the board, and on the turn after that, he will get a big Twilight Drake. Unfortunately, we can't see what this Discover is. Liam taking his time with it, though, having a chat with his teammates. We'll find out in just a moment what these cards are.
Usually find one of the most difficult cards to choose about is Earth Elemental when this comes up. Oh, there's Alakir.
Ancient of Blossoms was one of the options. I didn't see the third, but Alakir.
Alakir really important because it gives them a win condition. This Blood Bloom deck can go very low on health sometimes.
Yeah.
In an attempt to stabilise, and Alakir can just do 10 from hand with the help of a Flame Tongue.
The strength of Medivh the Guardian with Doom there. Medivh the Guardian comes out, gets destroyed. You Doom, you clear the whole board, you draw a bunch of cards, and summon a random 10-drop.
Yeah, I mean, stuff just goes silly. You play it on turn 10, you play Medivh, then you play Blood Bloom, then you play Doom, and you don't even have to hang around to see if they've got a way of killing your weapon. You just put another 10-drop on the table.
You know, Neil, there are some really fun synergies in Hearthstone. They're just not consistent enough to see regular play, but when you do see them in a tournament like this, it's very entertaining.
It is, and they're bringing, like I say, they brought meme decks, but they brought real decks. Apart from, we're not even going to talk about Priest too much. Well, I am, because it's ridiculous. But we're not going to talk about it overly, but they have brought real decks that are capable of success. This deck that we're seeing now basically won Sivka a tournament a little while ago, so
Yeah.
it was early in the expansion, but it is a deck that is capable against the right decks of winning.
Hungary really taking their time, trying to work out if they want to play Mixtures of Mixtures here. Personally, I like it, contesting the board as much as possible before the Shaman puts too many things down.
However, it's 4 health that may never get healed.
That's true.
If they both get killed this turn, then you don't get the 4 health ever, which wastes 2 taps over the course of the game. But I do agree.
Liamine has to go quite out of his way to deal with both of them this turn, though. He'd have to drop the Flame Tongue. In fact, he can't kill both of them this turn. It's just not possible.
What to do?
Yeah, have a look what they can do. Like you say, because they've been refusing to put the Fireflies on the board and they haven't drawn a weapon, there's not a great deal they can do.
Firefly into... I guess Brazil could consider just dropping the Devolve there. It would turn both of the mixtures into Wisps. They're actually going to do it as well. Refuse or deny Exego of any healing whatsoever. Okay. All right, sure. That makes sense. And also it gives Liamine complete control of this board for now.
Right, and there is that Voodoo Doctor again. They're just looking for that Blood Bloom. They may start tapping aggressively. This turn's fine. You just play your Twilight Drake. But after that, they are going to have to try and find that Blood Bloom. And if they do, the game will turn on its head.
Jade Claws. There doesn't look like there's any way whatsoever for Brazil to get past this Twilight Guardian just yet. Jade Lightning plus the trade would deal 5 damage. That's not 7.
5 is not 7. 7 is a lot. That's why Twilight Drake's in the right deck is so good.
Yeah.
Because 7 is actually a lot of health.
Anyone remember Handlock?
Hand who?
Handlock? Never mind.
You're not with Sottle now. You're with somebody who played Zoo.
Oh. I see. Not Reno Lock? oh god, what have I done?
Help!
Medic!
Okay. But no, Brazil is able to do 5, and like you say, it is not 7. But they've got a lot of options for the next turn, so this is kind of an awkward turn to set up that turn. For instance, a Jade Lightning makes a massive dent in this Twilight Drake a lot of the time, which means they can set up killing next turn. They will know that Voodoo Doctor exists in the deck. This is not a deck that will surprise them at all.
Yeah.
Especially after what we've just witnessed.
Yeah, it's one of these decks that everyone is going to be somewhat aware of, and
okay, this is just playing to their Flame Tongue totem. It's threatening for Exego because he'll be scared of Bloodlust, but actually this is just making the best use they can of their Flame Tongue totem for clearing up this 4/7.
yeah, it also baits out a board clear, but the board clear doesn't really deal with that much. Hungary may decide that they need to play the Hellfire here, but then Brazil just put more stuff on the board, and then there's no Hellfire.
However, Hungary, every turn they survive, they've got to keep their health total above 11, basically, because that's how the Blood Bloom turn works.
Yep.
And every turn they survive without taking too much damage is a turn closer to drawing that Blood Bloom. They've only got 20 cards left. They're 10% to draw it every turn, and it gets better each time.
Voodoo Doctor actually going to heal up the Twilight Drake there. Exego not too worried about his health total right now. Acknowledging that Liamine is struggling to deal with this. He already used up his Devolve. And this thing is just going to keep wreaking havoc for as long as possible.
Yeah, unlike this thing, which is costing 5 mana and isn't going to wreak any havoc at all.
It's not, but it is a thing.
So, what's the play? The Jade Lightning doesn't do anything.
Jade Lightning plus Jade Claw
Alakia
is
is
lovely, but it's one mana short still.
Alakia is neutralized. Doppelgangster has no friend to help it in the form of the Evolve. And so this is just going to be like a holding turn. I imagine we'll see them trying to totem up just to make this thing cheaper.
Okay. Jade Claw's going to deal with that 2-1 by the looks of things. Putting the ball back in Exego's court. Where are you going to put that Twilight Drake?
I'm going to Mortal Coil first and see how I feel, I think, is the answer.
I think there's a very high chance that the Drake ends up just going face. But you're right, may as well draw some cards first.
So later on, this Jiraxxus does act as a kind of heal, but only if you're bored. You've got to have the board to play Jiraxxus against Shaman, otherwise you're just going to die to a Bloodlust.
Is there any reason not to tap this turn? We'll see when we see what the Mortal Coil draws. Tar Creeper? Okay, now there's maybe a reason not to tap.
And this is why you, in the opening hand, you see you do 2 damage, you create a demon. That's why you see there's 2 of those. Here's the Blood Bloom.
We might see the combo next time Liamane picks up a board. If he manages to play Doppelgangster Evolve at some point soon, or something like that, we will see the dreaded combo, the 2-mana complete board clear, draw a ton of cards for Exego.
Not much healing left in the deck, probably 2 Earthen Ring Farseers.
Right.
They've used both Mistress, they've used both Voodoo, well, they've used one Voodoo and the other's in hand. So not a huge amount of healing coming. The Jiraxxus will probably be the turn after the Blood Bloom into Doom.
You make me want to try this deck in Wild, Neil, with anti-Keelbots and Reno Jacksons, etc.
Great. Now you made me want to never touch Wild. But that does sound like an entertaining deck, it must be said. I think that Blood Bloom is a card that will have a place in Wild because it is just so ridiculous what you can do with it.
It's got such a crazy effect with the right synergies. Those synergies don't necessarily exist in Standard as much as they should at the moment.
I mean, think of other cards that make people have amazing turns in Hearthstone. You've got Preparation, you've got Innovate, all these cards that generate mana, whatever the punishment.
Thaurissan.
Yeah, exactly. Can be used in some way. Yeah, Thaurissan, obviously one of the staples for a very long time. Brazil, like, this is where we can see what's happening. Brazil are playing fair Hearthstone right now, although Doppelgangster Evolve's not that fair. And, oh, just too late. Hungary aren't playing fair Hearthstone, or they won't be in a minute.
I don't think this is a Blood Bloom turn, though.
It might be just because they've got 5 mana after to put more stuff on the board.
Oh, that's true.
But I think it will go next turn, so they can play Jiraxxus the turn after.
Yeah, I don't mind starting with a tap. Oh, okay. Dirty Rat might change things. Dirty Rat, Blood Bloom might... Oh, but then you're drawing too many cards.
I mean, you burn some, but... like
You don't care.
the deck, yeah, the deck kind of has to. I mean, what are you going to burn? You're not going to burn Medivh, you're not going to burn Jiraxxus.
It's true.
You might burn some bits and pieces, but yeah, I think you're fine. I think you can do it. You're a bit scared of pulling Aya.
Yeah. Well, so the 2 out of 3 good pulls for the Dirty Rat here. If Hungary are even going to go for it, doesn't look like they are. They're just going to put a second taunt, a first taunt down, do some healing.
Right. And you look how many cards they're going to draw next turn with all this on the board.
They're hoping to see a Doppelgangster Evolve next turn. That's what they're hoping for. Maelstrom Portal not really relevant here. It deals with the Voodoo Doctor. Liamane could Hero Power, maybe get spell damage, though that doesn't make a difference. I guess Maelstrom plus Jade Lightning actually lets him deal with the Twilight Drake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Seems fine. But not really getting anywhere fast here, Brazil.
No weapon to give the deckhand charge, or that may have been pretty nasty.
This is where we see all the way back when we had that decision earlier, the Alakia being such a good pick, because Alakia into Jiraxxus is definitely going to be a bit naughty.
Ooh, that's naughty.
And don't forget, you can just cast Doom for 10 mana. It's a thing you can do later on.
Yeah. I think he has to Doom now.
Yeah.
But does he start with the Dirty Rat?
Yes.
It's a little bit risky because of the Aya. But then the Aya would only summon a 3/3 Jade Golem, so...
But you might get a Doppelgangster, and that's like the jackpot.
Yeah. And you know there's still a minion that was created by Stonehill Defender in there. So.
You've got a suspicion that that's Alakia, I think, at this point. I don't think you know.
Oh.
Here we go. Good luck, people are supporting both these teams.
That's a hit!
Doppelgangster just turns into Blood Bloom.
Cool, let's draw 7 cards. That works out perfectly. Exego's going to end up with a full hand. There's an Earthen Ring Farseer that is playable this turn.
Yeah, why not?
Siphon Soul, that's more healing. We didn't think about that.
correct. Yeah, that's a good call. And
Twilight Guardian, that looks pretty big.
410. Liamon's face just said, yeah, whatever. They can hit for 6 in the face.
Yeah, but 6 isn't 9.
And it's not 15 either.
If they had a...
Golems are
Have they used up both Flame Tongue Totems already? I know they've had one. But a second Flame Tongue Totem would just mean the Alakir's lethal soon.
Yep, that's a fair point. But there is Jiraxis ready to rumble. And what this deck does a lot of the time now as well is just starts getting taunt minions out. Look at all the mess that's going to be in the way. And it can still heal for these annoying bits with the Farseers.
Hellfire plus the trade, clearing up the board nicely. And yeah, Earthen Ring, Tar Creeper, Voidwalker,
Yeah.
some combination of these cards. I think probably...
You just play, yeah, that.
I think it's Earthen Ring Voidcaller. Doesn't quite have the mana to play Earthen Ring
Yep.
plus Tar Creeper.
What can kill you? Well, Alakir is the answer. If someone's tracking, which they should be for Hungary, assuming they're not busy working out what they're going to mean within the ace match, then there should be somebody who realises that Alakir is in hand now.
Shaman or Rogue would be Penhadani.
Shaman or Rogue, I don't even want to know what could happen with a Shaman.
Gonna go with the Earthen Ring Voidwalker play, the safest play. I think Alakir still capable of doing some damage to the face this turn, but then be eaten up by Siphon Soul. This looks like it's just gonna be Exeger's game.
It's looking that way. I just want to touch on Barnes in Liamain's hand. That is not him memeing. We touched on this yesterday, especially you and Gaskin.
Yeah.
Barnes being played by at least RDU and I think some others possibly at HCT. Certainly being played by high-level players. In Shaman now, it just has a lot of synergy with the rest of the deck.
It can just be better than Doppelgangster.
Right.
You can get one of the most... You can get a thing from below from the Vans, for example, and then evolve that.
Yeah.
You get a random 5 drop and a random 7 drop. Great.
And you just do it early. It's just like it is just a decent card in the deck. I think Barnes is always a contentious card, whatever deck it ends up in, because there's always this potential to just have bad...
Something went right.
Yeah, that's a nice pick. Positioning, of course, important there. He did it in that order on purpose.
Yeah, if Hexago doesn't deal with the Flame Tongue Totem now, which he will, but if he didn't, then it would just give Liamain this insane...
There's the Bane of
idea.
Doom. You see how good that would have been a few turns ago. It's also going to be good against totems sometime soon. Just gives you extra win conditions.
You can just clear everything. You can coil the Flame Tongue Totem, Bane of Doom, the 1-2, and then just make the trades. Second Blood Bloom. Doesn't seem playable this turn. I wouldn't want a Blood Bloom Doom now if I were Hungary.
Trying to work out if he can drop Jiraxis now. Is it safe to drop Jiraxis?
I hadn't thought about that.
It looks like if you're going to, now's the time, I think. But no, he just doesn't think he needs to. And I'm good with that. He's got a good enough board state. But just casually get a 5/6 Pit Lord.
5 mana, deal 2 damage and summon a 5/6. Just seems a little bit like Firelands Portal, really.
Yeah.
There's Evolve, which is just too late. Evolve in the previous turn would have been a great pickup. Now, I guess Liamain could drop Alakir, hit with it twice, and then evolve that and get a random 9 drop. Don't think that's going to be good enough, though.
Don't know what 9. I don't know my 9.
Oh, look.
That's a good one.
More Ysera's. Most of the big dragons are 9 drops, I think, and Ysera seems to be a common trend in this series.
And it is just a nightmare for Brazil, though, from that 0. And it's just a nightmare this match, but it does look like they're going to qualify. Thanks to their victory over Taiwan. We'll go into what that means for Taiwan shortly.
It's not quite lethal yet from Exego. Jiraxis, I think, is 2 off.
I mean, it's just how do you... This is the bit where we always talk about these are the hardest decisions in Hearthstone. What one card might Brazil have brought today that possibly loses us this game?
Well, the card I'm thinking of right now is Ysera Awakens. So Hungary are just going to want to Siphon Soul that Ysera away. Or play Jiraxis even, because like playing around 9 damage is probably safe. Say so the 4 plus the 5 that Nightmare or Ysera Awakens can give. Maybe then add in a Jade Lightning if we haven't seen both of them, so potential 13 damage. Jiraxis should be safe.
Like, these decisions are the ones that kind of matter the least, but are also the most important. I think I'd like to siphon this. I think Jiraxis has more things that can go possibly wrong than siphon. I don't think it matters, but if there's a world where your opponent somehow heals and has 2 awakens, you might lose the game.
If your opponent plays a Harrison Jones right now somehow.
Yeah, I mean, there's just ways you could lose the game. That's a really good one, actually.
Blood Sail Corsair, though, not quite got the same impact as Harrison Jones, does the same thing.
Yeah, he's not really a museum sort of guy, the Corsair.
No, I imagine.
He's more of like just rob something and run
I
away.
imagine that we'll see the concede from Leo Main any moment now. This game is over. And finally, Hungary, they found their true calling. They're going to take this one away.
They are. Look how close this could have been in some circumstances. Imagine a Leroy there. That was never going to happen either, but, yeah, interesting. Exigo getting the win, and Hungary winning 3-1 with UK Paladin, Big Druid. We won't talk about the Priest.
They lost with the Priest, so we don't have to
Blood
talk about
Bloom Warlock.
Just that was a series of Hearthstone.
It was, and it just shows that Tier 1 decks, we all know them, we all love them, we all play them on ladder. We're going to see a lot of them at Shanghai at the weekend. You don't have to play Tier 1 decks to win, especially if you play your decks well. And they played that well. They set out the whole thing from the start.
We just went through it briefly, but let's take another look at the matchup that just happened. Exile winning with UK Paladin, Jambre's Invention against Loxodontis' Rogue, Quest Rogue. Chaincaller not quite getting the win with Big Priest versus Legolas' Jade Druid.
Right.
And Penadami with the Big Druid. Exigo with the Blood Bloom Warlock getting some wins. And the thing is, there is definitely an advantage to playing these decks that aren't Tier 1.
Right.
The players aren't as used to playing against. The players won't have been testing against. Let's take a look at some of the highlights of that series. There should be quite a few.
Yeah, the thing with these decks, they've all been tuned by somebody else. So this was tuned by Jumbo. It's not like you just picked up a load of Paladin cards and guessed.
Yeah.
You know you're playing a deck that is capable of doing well. You've just got to learn to play it. But you can learn to play it, like you've just said, quicker than your opponents can learn to play against it, because they don't need to learn to play against it.
Yeah, if they have to prepare to play against all the meta decks, and you think you know that you're going to take this strange deck, then you can take that. You prepare to play against the meta decks with that deck, and you're just going to be a little bit better prepared.
And then we're going to see the next one's going to be the Priest. Now, I wasn't a fan of this particular deck, but I can see how if you do get an early Barnes going with this Priest and you silence the thing that you pull from it...
Yeah, Legolas' face here. Look, what's this? Just the way his eyebrows just crunched down, like, wait, what? I'm just confused about how this deck was put together. Obviously, it's got some Silence Priest things in it, but no, from what we can see, no Divine
I think
Spirit,
somebody
no
just went,
Fire.
Barnes and Silence. The others went, right, 28 cards along those lines, off we go.
Of course, this game ended with Yogg Saron giving Brazil a pretty good day. Yogg Saron giving them it was a snipe, it was a mana bind, and it was a noble sacrifice. Drawing a bunch of cards, then buffing up the Yogg with Power Word Tentacles.
And every time I see Yogg at the moment, I feel that the nerf was about right. Yeah. Sometimes it clears the board and wins and everything, but you have to calculate enough to get the spells, and sometimes it shoots itself in the face and you lose. I feel that's what Yogg was intended to be.
Right. As it ends with an 11-11 Yogg that's drawn a bunch of cards. This is one of the better Yoggs, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Yogg turning itself into an 11-11. Just getting the job done. If he doesn't trust the rest of the deck, he's just going to do the job himself. Somebody just charges in the way there, just out of the way, the noble sacrifice.
Yogg versus Deathwing. We have a definitive answer for which great being wins that war.
Yogg is just obviously better than Deathwing. If Deathwing's played first, the other way around, somehow feel it might be a different result.
All right, next up, it was the Big Druid. Lots of Deathwings being played from Penhadani's side. Lots of this turn was insane. The equality, consecration, second equality, trade into the Deathwing Dragonlord. Then Ysera popped out.
And the key there is Hungary never really made a board that was too terrifying until the equality wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
They just waited until they had a couple of death rattles set up, and they went, right, now you need to deal with this, and you can't, because you've got too much stuff going to happen.
Loxodontis certainly didn't have a good day. Then finally Exigo versus Leomain. I mean, this isn't a bad counter. This deck has a lot of board clears. He was able to completely control Brazil's resources, make sure Leomain, when he did go too wide, there was an answer for it.
And Leomain, right the way back on turn one, chose not to take on that Mistress of Mixtures with the Firefly, which I think was correct, but it did mean that all the way through the game they were playing behind on board as Shaman, and that's just not where you want to be. And Hungary showing that they can just play these decks with the best of them. Again, they've already qualified through one lot of groups, and they've just beaten one of the best teams in the world.
Right, well, that is the end of our first series today. Lots of games, lots of high stakes coming up. Let's take one last look at Group C. See where we've ended up after that. Group D, sorry about that.
Yeah, it is going to show us where Taiwan stand. Taiwan are 1 and 2 with a -1 record, but they are currently like the best 1 and 2 record out of all the third place finishers. So they're still in with a good chance. We'll know more by the end of the day as these groups unfold. But 4 of the third place teams will go through. Taiwan listed behind there because they lost the head-to-head.
Right, next up, it's going to be Netherlands versus Argentina. Gaskin and Lorinda are going to bring you that one, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a moment.
We're almost there. Quiet down, everyone. This is not like any of our previous expeditions. This will be far more ambitious. We're stepping into a land of primordial wonder. Infused with astonishing elemental energies. The plant life here holds very unusual properties. So don't touch anything. And while you may be excited to see the local fauna, you might want to make sure they don't see you. Because their powers of adaptation are devastating. Make no mistake, we will be tested at every turn. But if we stay on our guard, we might just survive. Now then, are you ready? Then let's journey into Ongoro Crater.